Hey gang, welcome back to another battle report. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've done one. Been fooling around with a lot of different settings and features and trying to perfect certain things and experiment. Today's matchup will feature my mercenary company, which featured in the Let's Make a Fire Lance video series. While my buddy Enfield is rocking a lance from House Steiner, the Nautical Guards. He's got a Penetrator, a Cestus, a Thunderhawk, and a Night Sky. Meanwhile, I'm rocking my 3 Archers and a Longbow. I am running the Archer 4Ms and the Longbow 12C, so just a shit ton of Artemis 4 goodness. We are going to be playing Hexless BattleTech today. We also have 3D terrain. The hills are considered level 2 terrain. Those little escarpments there in the middle of the board, those provide a 2+ movement modifier. The palm trees, all of them we're considering are light woods, so they're going to have a 1+ movement modifier. You got the little village over there with the adobe homes. Those are level 1 terrain, and they're going to provide partial cover bonuses. And then the oasis itself is depth 1 water. This is our first time experimenting with Hexless Classic BattleTech, so there was a lot of stoppage in play just to make sure we got the measurements and modifiers done correctly. And thankfully, through the miracle of editing, you won't see any of that. And special shout out goes to Dougram, who's making a special cameo in this game. So Enfield has set up his forces in an interesting split. He's got the Night Sky scouting on the southern part of the board, and he's got his Thunderhawk kind of in that middle southern side there, hiding in those, or right in front of those light woods. Meanwhile, the Penetrator and the Cestus have gone north, and they're pairing up together to try to make a sweeping motion. It's interesting because typically every time we play, Enfield will split his forces, and it usually comes back to bite him. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, I like to castle my forces. I like to bunch them all up. I feel like there's safety in numbers. So when you look up my side of the board, I've got 2 archers back to back, hiding behind that one hill. And then I've got the longbow and the other archer hugging those light woods together in pairs. They're separated enough that they could go either way and split fire, or they could come together and concentrate fire to obliterate something. It just really depends on how Enfield moves his mechs. And seeing as we just did turn 1 movement, we did the math on a lot of different shots. Math was too high. So we ended up not shooting anything at all on that first turn, and it just was walking onto the board into our positions. Turn 2 saw the Night Sky continue his advance through those light woods to the edge so he could peek and shoot. The Thunderhawk also moved through the light woods so he could get a bead on with his large lasers and Gauss rifle. The Cestus and Penetrator are having fun in the sun on the northern end, not being a real non-factor with being bogged down in those light woods. My pair of archers by the hill kind of split up a little bit. The furthermost archer does have a line of sight to that Thunderhawk, so he'll be taking advantage of that. So does the other archer and longbow by those woods. So my plan is, moving into this, is the far back archer shoot the Night Sky, and the other 3 mechs, the 2 archers and longbow, shoot the Thunderhawk. So his shots go as follows. He's got his Cestus, shoots that archer at long range that he can see, fires his Gauss and 2 large lasers, misses all 3. Terrible. The Penetrator doesn't have any shots lined up because the archer's blocked by that level 2 hill. The Thunderhawk ends up shooting at the longbow with 3 Gauss rifles. He misses. And the Night Sky shoots its large pulse laser at an archer and hits. So he does some damage to the right arm of that archer that he can see in those light woods. Meanwhile, the 2 archers and longbow fire their LRM volleys on the Thunderhawk, do massive amounts of damage, 40 plus, give it a double PSR because we're playing stacking PSRs, and then the remaining archer fires at the Night Sky and only 12 missiles out of 40 end up striking home, but they all hit on that left side. And the Thunderhawk fails his PSR and takes a terrible tumble on his left side. Oh, it's so good. Internally, I'm clapping and cheering because it just looks like turn one, this is going to be a blowout. Just sitting back, unleashing hell is just going to work it out in my favor. Oh, getting so cocky and arrogant right now, at least internally. Thunderhawk pilot says, not like this, and then stands up. You know, maybe it was too much to hope for that he'd stay down another turn and maybe fail and fall over. So what you can't see is that the Night Sky has now moved to the far right edge of those light woods and he's right behind my archers. The camera cuts off there, but that's where the Night Sky went. That little son of a gun just hoofed it. He ran, and using non-hexes, he's really, really fast. The Cestus and the Penetrator is still playing fun in the sun up there in the northern part of the desert. That poor Cestus is stuck going through those light woods, and he is slow as molasses. Meanwhile, the archers kind of consolidate around that longbow, where one archer also falls back to kind of engage the Night Sky, but I kind of mismeasure and misjudge how fast that Night Sky can be. So we exchange a lot of fire and a lot of shots. Do a little bit more damage to that Thunderhawk. The Penetrator and the Cestus pick on the archer holding the giant massive piece of rebar. We're going to call him Silver. And the Night Sky concentrates fire on the archer that he can see. Unfortunately, through all the weight of fire from the Penetrator and the Cestus, that archer goes down. It takes a nosedive. Takes some damage on his right side as well on the fall. And so immediately I tell myself, well, that's karma, bitch. You were just gloating about how that Thunderhawk went down, and now your archer just, hit the dirt. So now, luckily, on the start of my turn, the archer decides to stand up, because he's like, not like this, and backs up a little bit. Unfortunately, through all the movement shenanigans that we had going on, his Night Sky ends up being behind the one that just took the nosedive. So where he can get shots on his rear, and then the Penetrator and the Cestus are going to double team him from the front. The Thunderhawk, he hasn't moved. He like inches a little bit towards the edge of the woods, just so he can get better shots downrange at the longbow. But he's kind of just chilling right there. He likes the mod, that defensive mod that he's getting. But the archers and longbows are really just happy to keep firing at him blindly. The Cestus and the Penetrator lock targets on that poor archer holding the rebar and just pelt his front armor all over his arms, his shoulders, and his legs. I mean, he is just looking torn up. The Night Sky also assists, and with a little bit of backstabbing, he probably was a rogue in a previous tabletop game, and blows off the archer's right arm. Boom! It's not looking good for the archer at all. However, he passes his PSR and stays upright. So here we are, turn 5, final turn. The Night Sky ends up going into the light woods behind my archer, and then to get a back shot on that archer. The longbow kind of twists and turns to kind of get a shot either on that Thunderhawk or go for the Night Sky, depending on what his choice was. The Penetrator and the Cestus continue to move forward through those escarpments to pick on Silver there holding that rebar, trying to finish him off and get some points on the board. The Cestus and the Penetrator open fire, light up Silver, do more damage, shred more armor, expose more of his internals, but the son of a gun won't go down. The Night Sky opens fire on that archer, rips open up a little bit on the back side, but doesn't do anything major league to cause an explosion or anything like that to put him down. The longbow says, you know what, screw it, and alpha strikes all of its LRMs on that Thunderhawk, obliterating the left side of it and exploding the mech. Oh, sweet victory. Sweet, sweet victory. And unfortunately, like I said, this was the final turn, because Enfield had to go. That's it. So it becomes a Merc victory over House Steiner. Enfield is always a gracious opponent, and I love playing him. No matter whether we're playing like Kings of War, or Rogue Stars, or even BattleTech. Great guy. So I'm going to take a quick look at my sheets here and show you how bad the damage was on the mechs. So as you can see here, silver, both arms just stripped of armor. In fact, the right arm was blown clean off. Center torso, right torso just jacked, and he's just hanging on by a thread. Longbow's not in much better shape. That Thunderhawk really gave it everything he had every turn, hitting with those Gauss rifles. Both legs nearly crippled, both arms nearly blown off. It was not looking good for that longbow. A couple more turns of that Gauss fire, that had been all she wrote. Very close, very, very close. Red here really didn't take much damage other than damage to his arm and rear torso. This is the one the Night Sky really picked on when he was doing his little circle rounds. Stripping that armor off the back just kind of really hurt and gave him something to think about. And Blue, the last archer, walked away pretty clean actually. Just a little bit damage on one of his arms. No sweat, right? And thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of the battle report. Do you like the new format? Do you like the changes? Do you notice that there's a difference? Just basically let me know what you liked and what you didn't like. I'm just trying a lot of different things, trying to experiment. As always, thanks, and have a great day. That was a good game.
I don't feel... I think I got that Alpha Strike, I felt totally swamped. I don't feel so bad about this, because even in the next turn...
You would have had me. I would have lost definitely one of the archers next turn. At the very least. I probably would have lost two. Because you're going to round that corner.
Get into that medium pulp range. But it was a good game.
It was. It was a good game. A lot of fun.